Hey guys, I wanted to talk about plantar fasciitis. So, something that I treat a lot of, and I think a lot of times, A, we can really easily prevent it, and B, it goes treated more for the symptoms in our traditional healthcare model. And we can put the traditional approaches is they'll put some heel lifts underneath, so it kind of actually shortens the whole structure a little bit more, and it ends up feeling a little better in the short term. But I think long term it tends to come back. You're not addressing the real underlying cause, and that's one of the tenets of my practice that I'm all about is address the underlying cause of plantar fasciitis. So let's talk about what it is and how we can really prevent it. A lot of it, again, comes down to just having tensions building up. We're in shoes a lot. The more time you can spend barefoot, the less likely you are to have plantar fasciitis. That's also to say you don't want to go from really cushiony running shoes, which these are not super cushiony, but you go from super cushiony running shoes to very bare feet, right? That big jump can also cause a bunch of other issues. So there's no simple answers, but plantar fasciitis, this is going to be the foot here, okay? Plantar is the bottom part of the foot is what that term refers to. Fasciitis, the fascia is this thin sheath. It's kind of like having a t-shirt all the way up and down from head to toe. And what happens with fascia, some term you might have heard, is if there's a snag here, it does connect all the way up, right? So if all that tension underneath the foot here is really tight, and it tends to be worse at night when we sleep because we end up collapsing the foot, so that shortens all this tissue up, right? And then generally one of the keynote pieces of plantar fasciitis is when you wake up, it's the worst because it's been tight all night. So those first few steps, we tend to get when people describe that they have pain kind of right on the inside there, bottom part of the foot, that's a big boom, plantar fasciitis. And so really simple things to then treat that should be implemented. A is, massage the bottom of that foot, loosen that up a lot more frequently. Spend less time in shoes. Shoes are, imagine, this is an analogy hopefully that resonates, I use this a lot, is imagine if you were wearing a mitten all day long, right? Do you think your hands would perform as well, right? We have these fine motor skills in our hands. We tend to be wearing shoes all the time, and that shuts down because they're big cushiony shoes. That shuts down, especially if you have really tight shoes, dress shoes, women high heels, that shuts down a lot of the muscles in the foot. So really important that we start to get the feet moving better, that we start to incorporate this whole posterior chain, that you hinge better, that you squat better, that if you have flat feet, that you start to control that and start to wake up some of these muscles. So getting different pieces of that moving. I prescribe quite frequently getting your 4 little toes moving separately from your big toe. We call that interdigitation. So you don't necessarily need to be able to play the piano with your toes, but the more you can separate how much the big toes moving from those little toes and activating your arch, right? Activating these muscles. So the stronger your foot is, the healthier you're going to be, the less likely you are to have injuries. So plantar fasciitis, stretch out if you don't have it. Get the calves involved. The calves are pulling and they're very connected to the bottom part of the foot. So make sure you're on top of these things. Mash all that tissue, again, using foam rollers, but also, again, making sure that you can hang out in the bottom of a squat, right? So can I get there? Can I spend some time really stretching out that entire surface? Not just spending time in the bottom of the foot, but everything needs a little love. Look at it in the big picture. So if you have